Commissioner Spicer, would you lead us in prayer? Would you like someone to fill in? Well, I'm Methodist, so I have to read my prayer. So unless somebody else wants to do it, which I just happen to have one here. So. Everyone pray with me. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon us, those who hold public office in this county, the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with great purpose we may faithfully serve as commissioners, elected officials, and department heads to promote the well-being of all citizens of Dixon County. Remind us as we deliberate that county government is only a convenience created by the people to be managed by us with no powers of own, except for those voluntarily granted by the people we represent. We pray that you keep us ever mindful of this fact. May all this be done to fulfill your purpose through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Everyone stand for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simpkins,
Here.
Mr. Eby,
Here.
Mr. McElwain, Mr. Beatty, Mr. Dawson, Ms. Spicer, Mr. Buckner, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Petty, Mr. Williams, Ms. Hayes, Mr. Reed.
We do have a quorum. Everyone's here. Thank you. First order of business is approval of the May 16th, 2022 minutes. Have a motion approval, motion by Commissioner Hayes. I have a second by Commissioner Buckner. Any questions, discussion, or changes? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business is committee reports. Is there any committees to report tonight? Commissioner Simpkins.
One, it's really not a committee report. I passed out our year-end pamphlets from soil conservation. Got a lot of good facts in there that what went on and how we spent money this year and what projects we're doing, and want to let people know what's going on.
Thank you. And as y'all saw tonight, Commissioner Simpkins did a fine job of speaking to this microphone, and those people at home ask you to do the same thing when y'all speak. So thank you. With no other committee reports, the next is public hearings, rezoning request for the Adcox Properties Tax Map 119, parcel 89.00, 89.02, 89.04, 89.05, and 90.05, 69 acres, Highway 96, Burns, Tennessee, from A1 agriculture to C2 commercial, 6th district. Mr. Darnell.
Thank you, Mayor. The public hearing tonight, this is a rezoning request from Adcock Properties to rezone 69 acres of the total 145 from A1 to C2. If you're not familiar with them, they are the current owners of on-site workshops in Cumberland Furnace, and they would like to open a second location to expand its emotional wellness programs. All the remaining A1 properties will be used as a nature preserve with park-like green space. This did go through the Planning Commission at the May 12, 2022 meeting, and it was approved by a 9-0 vote. We've not received any bad calls or comments at all in the office.
Thank you, Mr. Darnell. One question I'd like to ask on this. This property is located obviously in Dixon County for rezoning,
Yes.
but the road, Highway 96, is a city street or road inside
Correct.
Burns. Hang on. Does Burns, have they had an opportunity to look at this and make any comments on their portion of this property? Is there someone here representing this property?
Is Burns, are they aware of the Highway 96 being in theirs jurisdiction?
The only thing, Mr. Mayor, it's in their jurisdiction is just the right of way that the state of Tennessee owns.
Okay. Well, will they need to approve anything with us?
Not to my knowledge, and the barrister can answer that better than I, but to my knowledge, since the only thing that's in the town of Burns is actually owned by the state of Tennessee.
And if you say your name for the record, I'm sorry, Mr. James.
I'm Daryl James.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Darnell. At this point in time, we're having a public hearing. Who is here to speak on this public hearing? Can you get a show of hands? Anyone here to speak? One, is there another? Because no, there's two. Please let me know now, because when we do a public hearing, I need you to indicate so that to me now, because we're going to cut it off with those two speakers. There's no other. So is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? All right, thank you. Sir, you raised your hand first. So if you'll come to the podium and state your name and address the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm David Adcox from Hohenwald, Tennessee. My roots run deep in Dixon County. My great-grandfather, Mr. Henna Adcox, raised 7 kids over on Center Avenue and worked for the city. One of those children, the only boy, was Albert Adcox, and one of the girls was Tanel Nix, which some of you was a lifelong resident of Dixon County. We've been in business in Dixon County for 50 years. And so our roots run deep here. My son Miles owns the business that is bought the property that we're trying to rezone. And I'm going to read a letter from him, and then you'll understand why I'm reading it instead of him being here, because he was present for the Planning Commission and spoke that night. But it says, to Mayor Bob Ryle, Planning Director David Darnell, and the Dixon County Commission. I'm writing this letter just a few short hours before tonight's meeting to regretfully acknowledge my inability to attend in person due to contracting COVID. It's been a rough few days navigating the virus, and I was hopeful to be on the other side of it by this evening. But I still have symptoms and another positive test as of a few hours ago. That said, I will unfortunately be home in respect of everyone in attendance. I plan to be on standby and available via speakerphone to listen in and answer any questions you may have about this upcoming project and the exciting expansion of our services. Many of you know from our previous meeting, those in the Planning Commission, the passion and rich history I have for Dixon County. It has and continues to feel like home. I've been coming here from my hometown of Hohenwald since I was a kid. Some of my earliest memories are climbing up and playing on the fuel storage tanks at the old A&R Oil and Tire Shop my father and George Reniger operated in the 80s and 90s. My dad and I have been doing business in Dixon ever since, and there's nowhere else I would rather invest for the future than right here in our backyard. Dixon County's been good to us over the years, and I plan to continue being good to Dixon County. I, alongside a fantastic team, have been operating our personal growth, wellness, and hospitality facility in Cumberland Furnace since 2007. Since then, we've continued to grow from humble beginnings to employing many Dixon County residents, representing a mission whose impact has evolved into a local, national, and international reach. We don't just invest in a business, we invest in community. We have and continue to pour into the Cumberland Furnace community through several annual initiatives and plan to do the same for Burns. As you will see from the packet, we are excited to expand our services with a second retreat center at this beautiful farm that feels like a slice of heaven. We plan to preserve the property by keeping our development footprint small while insulating the majority of the land and its perimeter as a nature preserve. I wish I could be there in person tonight, but I feel honored. He told me I had to read this, to have my dad, a trusted advisor and the best mentor example I could dream of, standing in for me tonight. You will also see some of our leadership team here and friends from both our Cumberland Furnace property and the new property at Burns. Thank you for all your support and your service to Dixon County. I look forward to working alongside you to preserve our beloved county's character while ensuring a bright future for our future. And that's from my son, Miles. And he didn't decide he couldn't come till after lunch. So we're sorry we didn't get you that letter, a copy of that letter, but we have some tonight. But
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Adcox.
Okay.
Ma'am, would you like to come speak? I had someone raise their hand who it was the last person, the second person. If you don't mind, if you can get the podium, just state your name. Appreciate it.
My name is Netta Collins. I've lived in my husband and my late husband Clyde, and I've lived in Dixon County for almost 45 years now. We have lived in Burns. We bought property in Burns across the highway from where Mr. Adcox now owns in '83 and have lived there since '87. So we are very established in Burns, love Burns and all the values that it stands for, small town life. When Mr. Beasley was going to sell his property, we were very sad. We've been long-term neighbors, and he brought Mr. Adcox over to meet me. I'd never met Mr. Adcox, but I knew of Onsite. I have a lifelong fellow nurse colleague friend that had worked there, and she raved about the kindness, professionalism that they show their patients and their clients. So when I learned the details of what potentially could happen there, I was most excited. We also have friends that live in Cumberland Furnace, and they have frequently talked to me about the, but that Onsite is a neighbor. They're not just a business that moves in, but they're a neighbor and a part of the community. And I think that shows great promise for Burns. I'm also excited about the potential to bring some, business into Burns that could also bring new job offerings for professional folks and also for support staff. So I think it has great potential for our community. When I met Mr. Adcox, one thing he told me was that he brings in veterans for 2 weeks every year that are suffering from PTSD, and with no charge to those people, and offers them the services, the support services that they provide. That was most impressive to me, having had 2 sons and served in the military. So I think that it brings great potential to us. I think that it's a great thing for Dickson County just to have it on the other side of the county. We've had it in Cumberland Furnace and now bring it to Burns. I think it's just what our community needs. I'm very excited to have them be part of our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Collins. That is the close of the public hearing. This will be voted on for its first deal later in this meeting. There will be a 30-day period before it comes back to us on July 18th. Next order of business, elections. These are the rules. It's rules of procedure to fill the vacancy of the Dickson County Commission created by the resignation of Michael Curcio. These rules are the same rules that we've used to fill county commission seats. I read those at last meeting, but I'm going to read them again because I think it's important for everyone to understand them clearly on what we're doing on this. I think one thing we did mention is that state law and the Constitution requires the vacancy to be filled by the county that the state representative that resigned was domiciled in. So that's why this is before the Dickson County Commission as opposed to Hickman County or Murray County. Number 1, the county mayor, as the chair of the county commission, will publish the notice to run in the local newspaper not less than 7 days prior to the June 20th, 2022 meeting of the county commission, notifying the public of the meeting and the vacancy that will be filled at the meeting. That has been done. At the June 20th meeting, registered voters of the 69th district will be allowed to submit names for consideration. 3, once the chair of the county commission closes that portion of the meeting in which the public is allowed to submit names, the chair will then accept nominations from county commissioners. 4, any commissioner may submit more than one nomination, and nominations do not have to be seconded. 5, if a citizen submits a name that is not included in the nominations made by the commissioner, then that name submitted by the citizen will not be considered. 6, if a person nominated is not present, the county commissioner making the nomination must submit a signed statement from the nominee that the nominee is willing to serve. If a signed statement is not presented prior to the initial vote on the nominees, then such nominee will be considered. Number 7, each nominee, in order to be considered for a vacancy in the 69th district of the Tennessee House of Representatives, must be a United States citizen, B, 21 years of age, C, a resident of the state of Tennessee for 3 years immediately preceding the date of appointment, D, a resident of Dickson, Hickman, and Murray County for 1 year immediately preceding the date of appointment, E, a qualified voter of the 69th House District as of the date of the appointment. Number 8, once a commissioners vote to cease all further nominations, the eligible nominees will get an opportunity to address the county commission for a period of time to be established by the chair based on the number of nominees. 9, after each nominee has been given an opportunity to address the county commission, the commission will then vote to fill the vacancy. The voting process will be as follows. Each commissioner will state the name of the person that he or she supports to fill the vacancy. If a person nominated receives 7 or more votes on the initial ballot, then that person is selected to fill the vacancy. If no person receives 7 or more votes, then any nominee receiving no votes and the nominee receiving the fewest votes will be eliminated from consideration. If more than one nominee receives the fewest votes, meaning they are tied for the fewest votes, and or the elimination of the nominee receiving the fewest votes would only leave one remaining nominee who received less than 7 votes, then the nominees receiving the fewest votes will remain eligible for the next round of voting to fill the vacancy. The county commission will then go through the same voting process again until a nominee receives 7 votes or more. If a nominee has not received 7 or more votes after 2 rounds of voting, then the county commission will take a brief recess, in which time to give the county commissioners an opportunity to think on their own themselves regarding the nominees or voting. If the county commission is unable to achieve at least 7 votes for a nominee after a 3rd vote, then at that time and after any subsequent vote, any county commissioner may make a motion to postpone the vote to a date certain in the future to be established by a vote of not less than 7 votes in favor of the motion. What we'll do at this point in time is we will open up to have recommendations made by the citizens of the 69th district. What we're asking you to do is just come forward, state your name and your address, and give the name of the person that you're recommending on that. This is not an opportunity for speeches on this, but we do want need your recommendation. So who will be making recommendations tonight? If you'd raise your hands. Okay, have 1. All right, 2. Okay, any others? Any others from the crowd that we make a recommendation? Okay, if you 2 individuals, y'all don't mind coming up front to the podium, state your name and address and your recommendation to the commission.
A little short for this. Good evening. My name is Jasmine Brand. I live at 413 West 5th Street in Dixon, and I'm recommending Martha Shepherd.
Thank you. Ma'am, next.
My name is Olivia Ann Coons, Kuhns. My address is 535 Tidwell Road, Bonacqua, Tennessee, 37025.
Thank you. What was your recommendation?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Martha Shepherd.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all the recommendations here. Thank you for coming forward. At this point in time, there's a lot of rules here. Let's get back to where we were. Now, at this point in time, we will take nominations from the county commission. Traditionally, Ms. Hayes, would you like to go first?
Ron Reagan.
Thank you. Is there any other nominations to come forward from the commission? Any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations cease. At this point in time, as we said, we'll go by roll call. Madam Clerk, you'll call the roll. The commissioner will state the name of the individual they're voting for. Madam Clerk. I'm sorry. Good, thank you. Speeches, Ms. Shepherd, I saw her here. Well, let's give each individual 2 minutes. I got a little excited on my rules. No.
Honorable Commissioners, I come before you tonight to seek the interim vacancy for the position of House Representative in District 69. I want to do this in memory of my husband, David. I would like to take a part of him back to the legislature, which he so loved serving. If you honor me with this position, the good news for you is that I cannot present any legislation, and I more than likely will not vote for any bills, so you don't have to worry about me in that respect. But I can take calls from constituents who might have issues, and I can send them in the right direction. So I humbly ask each of you for your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
Well, I don't have a speech. And as this body knows, it's not a position that I've solicited or contacted any of you about. But I am honored that my name's considered. I have great admiration for the Shepherd family. And so certainly the will of the commission, if that's what the commission wants, if they ask me to serve, then I will do that. But I just appreciate being considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. Now, back in order. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Eby,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. McElwain,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Beatty,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Dawson,
Brian Reagan.
Ms. Spicer,
Ron Reagan.
Mr. Buckner,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Ellis,
Martha Shepherd.
Mr. Petty,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Williams,
Brian Reagan.
Ms. Hayes,
Brian Reagan.
Mr. Reed.
Brian Reagan.
Okay, so we have 11 to 1.
Thank you. With the count from County Clerk, Mr. Reagan, you are the elected as the state representative for the remainder of this term. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming here tonight. You're all welcome to stay. I know many of you may be here for this issue and you're welcome to be a part of this. Ms. Shepherd, thank you for being here and offering yourself for service on this. We appreciate y'all being here. Next order of business resolutions, budget amendments, all school funds, Board of Education representative. Dr. Weeks, is he here tonight? Did Dr. Weeks have any amendments that he sent out, Mr. Hall? What the? They've got them. Okay. Did y'all have any questions on Mr. Dr. Weeks's amendments? Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor to vote on this, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 2 is budget amendments, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
I sent these files out to you last Friday, but I also set these in front of you tonight. This is all funds except for schools. And it does not include the bridge fund 132. We had no amendments this year at all on the bridge fund. I think that's mainly because it's hard to get architects and that type thing to get in order. There's so many people trying to build bridges right now. Everything is basically the same on what was sent out to you on Friday. I set these out in front of you because there were a few changes today that I did, and I just went ahead and sent the whole thing out. Mostly what you've got in front of you is some adjustments to payroll and benefits. That's basically the thing, but there were some costs that I was scared of going over by departments such as inmate food cost, inmate medical supplies, or medical supplies for the ambulance service, that type thing. This is the last chance we get to get those correct. And if we go over a major category, the Comptroller of the Treasury really frowns on that. So that's why I handed you out this whole kit tonight for all funds except for the bridge. There weren't many things that were different from Friday, but some of those did kind of catch my eye, and I did increase some of those because the costs this year have increased, and we didn't want to get caught with those going over. The Highway Department, we did increase them some. The mayor and myself spoke Thursday or so. We did get them a little bit more money and some hot mix for doing a few more roads here in the last couple of weeks. So we did increase them a little bit more to keep them busy till year end, which is June 30th. So this here, there are 9 funds here you're looking at, but everything is basically the same as Friday.
The one in particular, the additional funding was used because the Highway Department was kind of a standstill to next year budget. The road that was in dire need of it that we had to keep delaying because of flooding was Bruce Road. There was a bridge that was built on West Piney, and because the August flood slowed us down on that. So we had to go through the winter without having that road paved. But Jackie Hodges, Mr. Hodges back there said, if he had the money, he can get that done. And were y'all starting this week on it, Mr. Hodges? All right, they're getting ready. So you folks that drive down Bruce Road, give it another few days and it'll be quite the drive. So open the floor for a motion and a second to move to approve this with Mr. Hall. Motion by McElwain, second by Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Yeah.
Mayor, I'm hearing from other counties, our fuel like in our sheriff's departments and various departments? Is that fixing to be a?
It's holding up pretty
problem?
good in ours. Let me look in this. Let me see what the sheriff's looks like right now.
And on that, what we've done historically on budgeting here, we've always over budgeted for fuel prices with the concern that something like this could happen. And obviously it has. It will create some stress on it, but we're in a position now that we don't have to take money out of our fund balance to do it.
We
'cause
haven't increased it.
No, we look like we're okay. Again, long term, that can start becoming a problem, but we feel like we're good through most of next year unless we start probably in our rough estimate, start seeing $5 a gallon, but then there's more problems out there than we can even imagine.
Yeah.
And we get our, obviously we get our gas at a lesser price without tax being a government entity, part of state Tennessee. Thank you. Have a motion, a second on this. Any other questions from Mr. Hall? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Hall, I'm going to let you stay here on these others. My name got thrown behind these, but you can better explain number 3 and 4. The first is a highway capital outlay note. That is, what equipment is that to purchase?
That was F1, F-350, fuel machines. I'm trying to think of what all.
Mr. Hodges,
Snow
can you help us
plows.
with that?
Snow plows.
Yeah, there was 3 snow plows, there was an F-350 shop truck, a tractor,
Tractor, John Deere tractor.
and the dump truck. We spoke about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. These are budgeted items. We're just at the point now where we're borrowing the money for the end of the fiscal year.
And okay, you're gonna do these one at a time?
Yeah, I need to do
Yeah.
these individually on this. So on the highway capital outlay note, I open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Hayes. Any other questions or discussion on the highway capital outlay note? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, solid waste capital note. Mr. Hall.
And that's for $195,598 Komatsu track loader.
Any questions from Mr. Hall on that? Hearing none, open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Reed, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hall.
Thank you.
Number 5, Reap Road speed limit change. This is what Mr. Williams brought to us, Commissioner Williams. We were waiting on a recommendation, I think, from Highway and the Sheriff's Department. Have we received that?
Yes.
Okay. And what was it to lower it to? I don't recall. It's not on the agenda. 25, is that what you wanted, or is it?
Well, according to the data, the 85th percentile, which is kind of a rule of thumb, I'm not a traffic engineer, but done a lot of studies for another entity I work for. It's between 21 in one direction and others, so 25, my recommendation there is that it would not be unreasonably low or high. So it's right at 85th percentile. That's what the data, there was some stated, but the numbers weren't crazy. A lot of volume on that road, more than things.
Some of us cut through that way, but I don't speed. So I think 25 is fine. Are you okay with that, Commissioner Williams? And we'll take that as a motion to accept it 25, to have a second. Second by Commissioner Reed. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Other business, this is what we had the public hearing on before. Rezoning request for Adcox property tax map 119 parcels 89.0, 89.02, 89.04, 89.05, and 90.05, 69 acres, Highway 96, Burns, Tennessee, from A1 agricultural to C2 commercial 6th district. Open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. This will be on the July 18th meeting for its final reading and approval. We do need to ask for one suspension of the rules. I should have done while Mr. Hall was up. We have a member of the audit committee that can no longer perform his duties, and we have one that will not be back until mid-July, and that that audit committee needs to meet by June 30th. Mr. Hall has brought forward the name of Anton Reese. He is worked for Blankenship, what we probably old people use as Mays and Walters. He's offered to fill in on that spot, but we do need to suspend the rules to accept that. So is there any objections to suspend the rules to take up Mr. M? Hearing no objection, you have the name before you, Mr. Anton Reese. I'll have a motion, a second to approve that. Motion by Commissioner Buckner, second by Commissioner Petty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business is approval of the notaries.
Allie Berry, Caleb Collins, Mary Connors, Hillary Duke, Justin Ebel, Teresa Edmondson, Penny Harris, Kimberly Hughes, Sarah McVeigh, Shannon McMillan, Heather Miller, Mark Odell, Jennifer Pennell, Shirley Reed, Andrea Rico, Raina Reniker, Olivia Scott, Catherine Smith, Diane Smithson, Valerie Underhill.
Have a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Ellis. Have a second. Second by Commissioner Petty. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. I want to make this quick announcement, but remember, we will go into our July work session as soon as this is over with. So we'll take up all announcements and any celebratory items at that point in time. So the announcement is for right now, the next regular session meeting will be on Monday, July 18th, 2022, 7 p.m. The Dixon in the Buford L. Booty Reed Junior County Commission Chamber of the Dix County Administration Building, Fort Worth Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Have a motion second to, I'm sorry.
I have one issue. I have a constituent that wants to put a three-way stop at Pruitt Road and Pruitt Springs Road. The sheriff's already been out there and he says it looks like it's a good idea. And I think Jackie's already been out there too. Is that correct, Jackie? Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I'd like to get that on the agenda.
Okay, well, we can take that for work session and that will be followed on that. And then we'll be in position. You'll have till July 18th. Mr. Hodges and Sheriff to look at that. So let's go on in. If there's no objection on this, do I have a motion second to adjourn this meeting? Okay, we're adjourned this meeting. Now I would like to call to order the County Commission work session for July. On this, Madam Clerk, would you, I'll give you a second. Yes, if you call the roll for the
Yes.
work session.
Mr. Simpkins,
Here.
Mr. Eby,
Here.
Mr. McElwain, Mr. Beatty, Mr. Dawson, Ms. Spicer, Mr. Buckner, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Petty, Mr. Williams, Ms. Hayes, Mr. Reed.
We do have, once again, a quorum on the approval of the minutes. On June 6th, we had two items to look at. One's the June 6th special call session to approve the budget. And we also, on that day, had the June 6th, 2022 work session. Open the floor for motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Again, on this work session, committee reports or the in-committee report. Hearing none, the next item is new business. Part-time magistrate. We have Miss Leslie Shelton here tonight. If you come forward. Thank you. Ms. Shelton, if you address the commission.
I have 5 nighttime full-time magistrates and 1 full-time day magistrate. She's been here long enough that she's starting to get time off, vacation and sick time. When she's out, I have to fill in as a magistrate during the day. I'm limited as far as the law is what kind of bonds I can set. So I'm asking I'm just going to appoint another one in my office that can fill in when she's gone or help if the load gets too much during the day.
This is not a budgetary item. It doesn't affect the budget on that. It can be done with funds that are already there because when that person's out, these funds are available. At this point in time on this, we've had an emergency appointment that has already been made.
Yes, sir.
And who was that individual?
Mr. Tommy Beely, he's actually in my juvenile as a youth services officer as well.
This is just to put this part-time in place. And again, it does not affect the bottom line on the budget. Any questions from Ms. Shelton? When on the emergency appointment, it's been made, this is a budgetary item. When we come back around on the regular appointments, it'll be handled then. And I'm looking at Ms. Shelton. I think Judge Monsey was here tonight. Am I getting nods from everybody? Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Open, thank you, Ms. Shelton. I'll open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Reed, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Other business, Commissioner Evie, that was, gives those names.
Yes, it's Pruitt Road and Pruitt Springs Road. I had a constituent call and says that there's really a speeding problem and there's a curve there that's really not visible. And he's almost been involved in a couple of accidents right there. So and I talked to the sheriff about it and he went out and looked at it and he says it looks like a perfect place for a three-way stop, right?
Yes, sir. It does. Just the way the curve, it's a 90, and there's another road that intersects with it. So it almost, it really looks like it's already a three-way intersection, but just with a one-way stop.
Right.
All right, thank you. We'll put this on, if we get approved tonight, it'll move forward to be the final approved on July 18th.
Okay.
That's a motion by Commissioner Evie to have a second. Second by Commissioner Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Under announcements, what's going on there?
Be added to the agenda tonight. A woman called me from DeLacy about speeding. What is the normal speed limit in subdivisions?
All county roads are 45 miles an hour unless otherwise posted. We can add this under the work session. So would you like DeLacy? Is it DeLacy or any other roads in that neighborhood?
I think it's that whole subdivision.
Okay.
I understand a little boy almost got hit the other day. And also we've had a bad accident on A-Bill Friday. But I think I'm gonna get with sheriff and we're gonna have a meeting with the community. There's been a suggestion of speed bumps and I don't think that's gonna work, but I think we're gonna have a meeting with the community before we do anything else about that.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the first of the motion. You have a motion by Commissioner Spicer to have a speed study done for the DeLacy Point neighborhood. So that's a motion by Commissioner Spicer. I have a second by Commissioner Simpkins. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Any announcements? Anything going on anywhere?
I was gonna make a comment about, about the speed bumps. Up there in Burns, they work. I guarantee you, if they put them in every subdivision, they'd work. They're the annoyingest thing there was, you're driving, but they work.
When you drive a 20-year-old pickup,
Yeah,
it's
you
really
sure
painful.
you ain't gonna be doing no 40. Oh,
No,
I
no.
promise.
No. I appreciate that input there. We also have coming up, and I can't get my phone to work. I think it's out of gas. Forgot to plug it up last night. But if you look on the Dixon County Facebook page, we're having the comprehensive plan, the transportation and growth plan that's been way overly discussed. Well, it's the rubber's hitting the road now. We have several meetings coming up across Dixon County on that. I'd encourage not only for y'all to attend, but more importantly for your constituents to attend, because we want this to be a community plan on what they want the vision of Dixon County to be. So if you'll check that Facebook page, we'll find that, get that date, and you'll see there's a series of meetings going to occur on that. And it's very important because, you know, we've had a lot of discussions as we do now about speed, about growth, about zoning. This is time to make a difference. It's not 10 or 15 years from now. You've got to, the decisions have to be made now to make a difference 10 or 15 years from now. So encourage everyone, especially your constituents, to make sure they're involved on that. Is there any other, nobody's having a fish fry? I ate fish and barbecue both this weekend. Come on, there's got to be something coming up. The Downtown Dixon Festival is on the 25th, I think. Okay, see, I knew some of y'all didn't.
Car show and couple of artists this weekend, maybe on Saturday.
3 to 8 or something. They're having something down at the community center.
Okay, that's a good one. See if there's anybody else. This is where we always have that big birthday deal. So nobody was born in June, it doesn't look like. Well, thank you. We'll remember that.
I've been to the school board about it.
Well, on this, Fido, because we do keep a level of decorum here, so we don't have the public hearing portion. But as soon as we end the meeting, we'll be glad to sit and talk with you on this, on any issue you have.
Okay.
All right.
It's about land.
I understand.
Yeah.
And we had to have it on the agenda to work on because we,
That's what I tried to do with the school board. I can't ever get on the agenda.
well, I understand. Well, we're going to take care of you here in about 3 minutes then. Thank you. Is there any other commission, any other things we need to bring up, announcements? Yes, Commissioner Reed.
Yeah, we're having the fireworks show in White Bluff on the Saturday before the 4th. We'll be having music down there. Danny Williams is gonna sing. And I wasn't kidding. Gonna be all kind of vendors down there and music other than Danny Williams.
All right. Any other business to be brought before the commission? Have a motion to adjourn? Second, did I tell you? I think I told you when the next meeting was, or was that another meeting? Let me go and get that away. Next work session will be on Monday, August 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Beaufort Bowie Reed Junior County Commission Chamber, the Dixon County Administration Building, Forecourt Square. Motion second adjourn. Thank you. Ms. Dido, come on up.